Hey guys, so today the patch 1.2.0, the Frozen Mists patch, has released for Battlerite, and with it a number of important changes. So the biggest change is Alysia the Ice Weaver has been released. So this is the new champion. She's a ranged hero with two unique debuffs in Chill and Freeze. We'll get to her after though. So let's start with the new stuff. The Prehistoric Mania event has ended and the Frozen Mists event is beginning. We now have Arctic chests, a number of new legendary outfits, new weapons, new rare poses, and a new legendary mount, as well as 10 new avatars. Also, last year's winter event, the items from then some of the items have been given quality updates. So Paloma and Esmo had their legendary outfits revamped. Legendary Mount Arctic Bear and Winter Gift have been revamped, as well as Freya's weapons, the Arctic Hammers, and Rukon's Chilling Reaper. And just like previous events, you can directly purchase frozen items with tokens at twice the standard cost. General updates, the name filters have been applied to your account, team, or ODM plays as well, instead of just applying to what you're typing in chat. This means that you won't have to see team names that are extremely offensive anymore, and should help parents that are concerned about the game allow their kids to play it if they weren't doing so before. Apart from that, honestly, some of the names are just kind of stupid and just lacked class in general. Like, I'm all for funny names and being offensive for the sake of being funny, but some of them were just middle school level. Also, two new changes. Potentially fixed pause abuse, where a player could continuously disconnect and reconnect to reset the pause timer. Players could essentially hold a match hostage by doing this, and just keep doing this until people in the enemy team quit, and then just come into the match and get the free win. And they've also potentially fixed an issue where players were given a rating penalty when they couldn't load into the match. So even though they couldn't load in the match and the match never starts, they were still given a rating penalty. So they've potentially fixed both of those issues. Also, to prevent smurfing, account level 10 is now required before you can play League. Casual, League, and Duel are now locked until players finish the first tutorial mission. And they corrected some erroneous minimum duration numbers on tooltips for movement abilities. Nothing too big. You can also now do some name changes for 750 gems, so you will have to pay real money if you want to do a name change. You cannot do it through in-game currency, but it is possible now. There's been a few new UI fixes. There's a new winter theme for the new winter event, and there's a duel mode in the Brawl rotation now, 1v1. Random champion, you can play as a random champion each round. It's best of 3, and the Death Vortex timer is reduced. Do note you will not receive champion experience, and you cannot progress daily quests in this mode. And also, due to current technical limitations, champions will have default cosmetics equipped, meaning if you have some fancy swag legendaries, they will not be showing off in this game mode for now. So, the new champion, Alysia the Ice Weaver. She's a ranged hero, as I already mentioned. Her Frostbolt M1 ability does 15 damage and also deals 2 bonus damage and adds to the chill duration of enemies affected by chill. I believe it also adds chill to enemies that it hits. Her Ice Lance is a projectile M2 ability, deals 22 damage, inflicts chill, and it deals 6 bonus damage to enemies already afflicted by chill for 28 total damage. Her Arctic Wind is a simple jump. Her Glacial Prism is a shield that can also be cast on allies, and when it breaks, it explodes to inflict chill on nearby enemies. So this is really good for if you have an ally in your team that's getting jumped on by a bunch of melees. Throw the shield on them and absorb some damage, and then it'll explode to inflict chill on them so that they can get away. Her E is an AoE, calls down a frozen star at target location. After pretty much a 1-second delay, it'll deal 15 damage and inflict chill on enemies in the area, and it will also inflict freeze on enemies affected by chill. Ice Crown, her R ability, launches a fragile sculpture that knocks enemies back and blocks enemy attacks for 1.5 seconds. So think like think Rook's Boulder Toss, except it leaves the boulder behind, and then that can block enemy attacks. And when it breaks, it launches a cone of icicles that deals 20 damage and inflicts chill. Frozen Gallery, her ultimate, is similar to Ash's ultimate. It marks a path of frost in front of her. And after a 0.9-second delay, this patch of frost will deal 35 damage and inflict freeze, not chill, but freeze on enemies hit, turning them into ice sculptures. Her EX abilities are on her Q and her E, so her EXQ is very similar to Thorn's R. Freeze a target ally for 3.5 seconds, making them immune to disables and blocking up to 40 damage. The ally cannot move or use abilities while frozen, and they will heal for 30 health. It'll also knock back enemies, and it will inflict chill when it expires. Snow Cone, her EXE, is similar to Iva's Flamethrower. It channels a cone of snow that deals 24 damage and inflicts chill over 1 second, so 0.9 seconds. It also inflicts freeze if you hit a chilled target. And then these are the two key components for a kit, chill and freeze. So chill is a 20% slow, up to 20%. The slow scales up to 20% with the remaining duration, and it has a max duration of 4 seconds. Freeze is basically Petrify, a reskinned version of Petrify. And the reason they didn't give her Petrify is both thematic and lore-wise, as well as because Alysia has a number of Battlerites interact with Chill and Freeze in unique ways, and they don't want those Battlerites to interact with other heroes such as Sirius that can petrify enemies. So she gets to turn enemies into nice ice sculptures instead of statues. A good example of this is her Icebreaker Battlerite. It is a Battlerite for her M2 Ice Lance, and Ice Lance deals 3 bonus damage and breaks freeze before dealing damage, which means instead of having to hit into the shield and then try to time it with 1 or 2 health left on the shield, you can just wait out the shield and throw her right mouse button at the very end of the shield duration, and it'll break the freeze and then apply full damage anyways. So that's the new champion. She looks like a lot of fun. She'll be very good against melee dive comps, and it's speculated she might take over Iva's spot in defense comps because of how good she looks to be against dives. As always, there is an Alysia bundle. You can purchase her in-game for either 900 gems or 5,800 battle coins. If you use gems to unlock her before the 10th of January, you will also get 3 Alysia chests. And Alysia chests can be purchased if you really want Alysia items right away and you didn't save any tokens. So, on to the final thing, the balance changes. The major balance changes, before we get started, are on Croak, Freya, and lesser changes on Destiny and Thorn, with a few small changes on Ashka, Bako, and Taya. So, Ashka, similar to last week, where a few champions got the ability to cancel whatever they're doing by using a defensive ability, Ashka's Molten Fist, his E, can also now do that, interrupt post-cast. A few of his battle rates have been changed around. He's had reduced haste bonus on Burning Feet battle rate, slightly increased damage bonus on his Inferno battle rate, but decreased damage on his Magma battle rate. Bako just got a small bug fix on his E. Croak got the biggest changes this week, mostly nerfs and a few shifts of power to try and make him more fair to play against. So Croak as a champion is a big problem for lower ranks as well as pubs, because his stealth, his multiple jumps, and his unpredictability, as well as his easy stun out of stealth, all make him very difficult to deal with in uncoordinated games. They've tried to shift around some of his health restoration to make him more dependent on securing the orb and using his jumps to avoid damage rather than to get in. And they've shifted around some of the power in his battle rates. So Mending Toxin, which was Severe Toxin, no longer snares, it just heals. The snare is moved to Lethal Toxin, which instead of increasing Toxic Muck impact damage, now adds a 12% snare. He's also lost 2 health on his Jungle Toad battle rate for the healing, and Frog Slice has received a small buff for the weakened duration from 2.5 to 3.5 seconds. They're clearly trying to increase the power of his E, as currently his E is kind of underwhelming, and they're trying to take power out of his right mouse button, as that is one of the areas that is very powerful but doesn't feel as powerful as other abilities. So this way Croak mains still feel fairly impactful, even if they have been nerfed, without feeling as bad as if they'd nerfed the stun out of camouflage or nerfed the invisibility duration or something else like that. Destiny had a bug fix that was somewhat of a buff but was also nerfed. So Destiny's Charge Bolt has a bugs with its silence duration after interrupting an enemy's ability with spell block. The duration has now been changed to 0.7 seconds and can be increased to 1.4 seconds with the System Shock battle rate. Her Power Attachment battle rate offers a bit too much firepower on the top end, so it has been scaled down. So her silence duration after spell block trigger has been increased from 0.5 to 0.7 seconds on the base. but the silence duration bonus decreased from 1 second to 0.7 seconds if you took the System Shock Battlerite. And they've also taken 2 damage off the max damage of her right mouse button using the Battlerite. Just so they're trying to decrease Destiny's power, but they're trying to do it slowly, as she's clearly a bit stronger than the average in solo queue, in League, but they don't want to destroy her. Freya got a number of nerfs as well. She has a lot of shields and dodges in her kit, which can make it really difficult to land any meaningful damage onto Freya. This is just similar to Croak. She's a pub stomper that's also very good at high levels. So they've tried to change some of the power and reduce some of her staying power in fights. So her E has had its cooldown increased from 7 to 8 seconds, and she's had the shield amount reduced from 12 to 10 on her Lightning Rod Battlerite. Her hammer time has had the cooldown reduction increased from 2.5 to 4 seconds. Thundering Spring, the tooltip now says it gives haste duration of +1 seconds, and it works with her EX ability for Thundering Spring. And Thunderbolt has had its bonus damage increased from 6 to 8. Taya, her Spinning Boomerang, her EX for her right mouse button, no longer triggers counters on the return trip. And Thorn, so Thorn's problem that is being addressed this patch is that he has too much invincibility time. Thorn could burrow, use his ultimate, and then use the No Escape Battlerite to burrow again, giving him several seconds of untargetability. So they've reduced the No Escape for the lesser burrow. They've reduced the duration from 1.75 seconds to 1.25 seconds to give Thorn more windows to be engaged upon by his opponents. Anyways, guys, that's patch 1.2.0 for Battlerite, the Frozen Mist patch. Big changes this patch are the introduction of Alysia, the Ice Weaver, as well as nerfs to Croak and Freya. The new event for the Frozen Mist has begun, so make sure to check that out and get any of the cool outfits that you want for your heroes before it goes away. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe if you like it, and have a good one.